Hey there friends, Dave Paulides, CanAm Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. Thanks for being here. If you have noticed, maybe you haven't, if you have noticed, the news is not on this channel anymore. I moved it to Rumble because YouTube didn't like it, and I got that directly lit up on me many times. So, Missing 411 Factual News with David Paulides. That's the title. Missing 411 Factual News with David Paulides is on Rumble. And I'll put the link right there as you're looking on the screen, bottom left-hand side, right on the comment section. The number one comment will be from me, and it will have the link that you can go to the news site. I wish you'd go, because it's a lot more free-ranging than what I could do here. And you're going to see that I think it's a little more engaging because we can speak our mind and you're not getting some redacted version of me, but you're going to see how I really think about things. And we already have several thousand people over there. Thank you for going. But this missing person segment is going to stay here on this channel, as are all missing people and all future missing people. That's not going anywhere. But in an effort to support me, I hope you go over there and subscribe to Rumble. It's free. So many of you know that the first two books I ever wrote were these two: Missing 411 Eastern US, Missing 411 Western US. People ask me all the time, Dave, how did you get Missing 411? Well, when I wrote these two books, it was just one giant book. Several people said, Dave, break it up, East and West. Well, in both books, I had 411 cases. And if you're one of the older sect out there, when you used to pick up the phone and call 411, you called 411 for information. Missing 411. Missing information. That's how I got to it, and that's how 411 evolved. Now, in the last 12 years, I've written 11 books about missing people. Do not go to Amazon and buy my books. You'll get ripped off. They're anywhere from $75 to $200 a piece, and here on my website, they're just $25. And that $25, you can find the books at NA, like North America, BigfootSearch.com. NABigfootSearch.com. You can find movie posters, the hats. Hey, every hat that you buy between now and the first of the year, I'll sign it, and it goes out the door to you. That's my promise. So please, engage. Help us. That's the only way we stay afloat, is through our online store, especially now. We're going through a bit of a crisis that I never thought I'd see in business. I like to think that I'm pretty sharp when picking out partners and things. And I learned a lot from the CEOs and technology I worked for, some brilliant people. And I like to think I'm pretty wise, and I've done a pretty good job maneuvering my way around landmines. Well, just lately, about 5 months ago, a nuclear bomb hit me and some other people. I haven't talked about it. I don't want to talk about it, but I may have to talk about it in the future, because what has happened to me and several others is the things people write books about. And it can literally devastate the people involved, and I know that. And I'm one of those. And before I let loose with what it is, I want to make sure I can clear it with my attorney, and I'll tell you about it in the future. So this story is about two women. Two stories, two women. And the interesting part about this is having two women disappear in the same general area is unusual in and of itself. When you have two women who disappear under almost identical circumstances, that's pretty weird. That's what we're going to talk about today. Now, the first case is very recent, very recent. The lady's name was Ingrid Lane. Ingrid Lane. This is Ingrid, 37 years old. She was a practicing Buddhist. She got married, she went missing October 15th, 2023 in the NABS Mountains of New Mexico. She got married about 18 months ago prior to her disappearance at a place called Ghost Ranch. And then 4 months ago, her and her husband bought a home in the hills above Albuquerque. And she has a twin sister that lives in Oregon with her mom. At the time she went missing, she was driving a 2019 Subaru Impreza hatchback. A couple things. I've talked about twins before. And I don't know, what is it? 1 out of every 80 or 90 births is a twin. I think my averages for twins disappearing is higher here. I just have that feeling. Now, she left her home in Albuquerque, and her husband knew that she was going to go to a place called the Bodhi Manda Zen Center in Jemez Springs. And she was going there to take time off. And the visitors that go there, they practice Zen Buddhism meditation. Get your mind and your body comfortable, relaxed. I actually know a lot of people that do this. I've meditated many times. I've tried to make it a practice to do it every day because it's healthy for you, clears your mind, makes you very introspective. It's a good thing. Now, Ingrid's husband's name is Louis. And Louis gave a very detailed interview to a New Mexico radio station, TV station, about this incident. He said that his wife hadn't been sleeping well in the weeks before she disappeared. Now, this would have been just maybe 3 months after they moved into this new home. And he stated that his wife was somebody who always took care of others. She went out of her way to care about you and me and her friends, her mom, always looking after people. But her husband said she didn't take care of herself. He didn't go into detail about what that meant, but he did say that she had some mental health challenges and she was going to the center to meditate it out. She made it to the center. And then from there, she went north to Forestry Road 144 in Sandoval County, New Mexico. She apparently had some vehicle damage in a flat, and she was able to flag down some hunters that were in the area, and she asked them for help. They said sure. They changed the tire, and the car still had significant right front damage, and there was also a broken rear window, which is a little odd. The big rock in the back, they said. He said that they offered to drive her into Santa Fe or Albuquerque, her choice, and she refused. She said that she was going to be destined to climb one of these big mountains in the area. Now, Lewis said that it wasn't unusual for his wife to take off for a day or two. It's just the way she was. 3 days out of the question. And after she was gone, the third day after she was supposed to be home, he called authorities. Now, nobody in the family had heard from Ingrid. She was reported as missing on the 15th of October. And a vehicle description was given to law enforcement. And on October 18th, they found her car at the exact same location where the hunters had helped her. And how they knew that, I'll explain. There was publicity on this case. Everybody in New Mexico knew. Well, the hunters saw the publicity and they called the sheriff's office and they reported the encounter to the Sandoval County Sheriff's. Well, on October 19th, the sheriff's office put a search and rescue together. And this is smart. They brought in cadaver dogs, which smell the scent of decaying flesh, dead bodies, and they also brought in regular canines. Now, Lewis said that his wife would climb mountains. That's true. And going into the mountains wasn't a big deal to her. And they also interviewed the people at the Buddhist Center and asked about her state of mind when she left. And they all stated that she was super positive, reinvigorated. She's in a great mood. So the search goes on, and the searchers aren't finding anything, and the canines aren't picking up any scent from the car in the area, no tracks around the car. And it's a small county, rural county. They don't have a lot of money. They do 5 days, they don't find anything. 200 ground pounders climbed to some of the highest peaks in the area. Well, the family knew that the county was a little tight, so they started a GoFundMe, and they got tens of thousands of dollars, and they were able to hire a helicopter that did flights over the area looking for Ingrid. Now, Ingrid's twin sister is named Kelsey, and she now lives in Oregon with her mom. She's extremely disturbed by her sister's disappearance. Out of character, not something that's ever happened, doesn't understand why it could happen, etc. Now, there was a very short clip about how Ingrid and Lewis met. Lewis played some type of guitar or mandolin, I couldn't tell. But Ingrid, she was a violin player, like expert level. It turns out that they played a duet together at some event, and that cinched up their relationship and took them to greater things. So Ingrid had some real special abilities. Now, there were some pictures that I saw of Ingrid's car, and it had some serious damage on the right front end. Let me show you where exactly this happened, because it's in the middle of nowhere. So Albuquerque would be way down in here, down in this area. This is Jemez Springs. This is where the Buddhist Center was located that she went to. And she drove up Highway 128, and her vehicle was found up on Forestry Road 144. I'm sorry, this was 126. Then she took and was way out here on 144, way out there in the middle of nowhere. This is all pretty rough area, very dry, desolate. I would say that she was very lucky to run into any hunters out there. I mean, it is hunting season, but people don't know hunters. They're good people. Generally really good people. Go out of their way to help others. Especially a lady in the middle of nowhere that needs help, you're always going to stop. That's really, like I've said before, it's one of your life tests. If you drove by and you didn't help that person, shame on you. Now, Ingrid's family is still making a lot of noise about this case. And they've tried to get the press to keep looking. They've tried to get more money for more helicopter searches. They probably just about ran out of places to search. Now, when I was reading this, it reminded me of a case I wrote about 12 years ago. Missing 411 Western United States. New Mexico case. Yeah, New Mexico case. Woman's name was Emma Tresp, 71 years old. Missing August 31st, 1998. In the Glorieta Baldy Peak Road area of New Mexico. Emma. Not only did Emma kind of look like my grandmother grandmother's name was Emma. Now my grandmother She was a tough lady, very tough. She worked at a supermarket in San Francisco. I was young. I was about 12 when I first got exposure to this by my parents. She'd walk, this would have been in the 1970s, 60s, 70s. She was walking home from her store at night, and 3 thugs jumped her, beat her up, and stole her purse, and beat her up bad. And I remember going to the hospital with my mom and dad and my sister to see her, and she was just pummeled. And looking back on it, that might have been the day I told myself, this is absolute garbage. I'm going to become a policeman. I got to help these people. Might have been. But my grandmother was smart. I asked her, I said, Grandma, just give up your purse. No, I'm not giving it up to those so-and-sos. She didn't care. Well, this happened 3 more times in the next 4 years. That got progressively worse, and my parents finally convinced her to retire. She loved her job, and she kind of looked like Emma Tresp. And when I first heard Emma's case, I read about Emma. If my grandmother had more money, she would have been an Emma, and I'll explain it to you. So Emma was a retired nursing home inspector for the state of Arkansas. She was smart. And she was a world traveler. She'd been to China, New Zealand, Canada, Alaska. The year she disappeared in 98, she'd just come back from Machu Picchu, and she was looking forward to more adventures that she was planning. She didn't like to stay at home. She liked to be on the road. She liked to drive. She liked to travel. Emma was deeply religious. She liked visiting a Benedictine monastery in the mountains of New Mexico near Glorieta Baldi. Now that's one thing my Emma was not. My grandmother was a person that came here from Russia. She spoke fluent Russian, and she was not religious at all. She encouraged us, and she was spiritual, but I never knew her to go to church with us ever. So on this trip, Emma first left her home in Arkansas and drove to see her daughter in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Spent a couple days, and on August 31st, Emma left for New Mexico driving her Honda. I know that some people think, well, you know, you got to worry about these things, and she's an old driver. Not with Emma. No. She didn't have any of those things that come with old age, like baggage, meaning slow, maybe shouldn't be driving. No, wasn't it. Emma was all there. Well, at about 3 p.m. on August 31st, Emma stopped at a gas station in Santa Rosa, New Mexico for gas. And she also stopped to get something to eat. And she was there about an hour and a half. And after that, she headed to the mountains at Glorieta Baldi Peak. Forest Road 63A. She had a map on the seat next to her, and she went and she took off up that dirt road. This is a place she's been to before, so she knew what to encounter. Some similarities here. This is Santa Fe, New Mexico, right here. If you've never been there, you need to go. Great little town. Glorieta Baldi Peak, where Emma Tresp disappeared, right here. And 40 miles west is Jimenez Springs, where Ingrid was headed for her weekend retreat with the Buddhists. 40 miles. I'm going to keep laying this out for you, but that 40 miles is important because of the profile of these two ladies. So nobody was really concerned at this point, obviously, because Emma was making her way to the location. Well, as she's driving up the dirt road, she thinks that she's in the wrong road, so she's trying to make a U-turn, and as she's backing up, she backs up and center lines her car, and she can't get it off. Well, eventually, when law enforcement gets to the car, here's what they find inside. They find a blanket, a 6-pack of Diet Sprite, her hat, cookies, $2 and change, a travel map on the seat next to her, a metal thermos, luggage with her clothes. And the only items that are missing are her purse and Emma. Now, they were about 9 miles up this dirt road where she got her car stuck. Let me lay this out for you. So let's say it's my wife going on this trip. Number one, I guarantee she had a gun with her. And here's why. Let's say this was you that got center lined on a dirt road way up in the middle of nowhere. My directions to you would be, you don't get off the dirt road. You stay on the dirt road. And you keep your gun in your purse, and if a car pulls up next to you, you keep your hand on the gun in the purse. Because you never know who you're going to meet on these roads. But trust me, I'm not saying everyone's a bad person. I'm just saying you got to be careful. Coming down a dirt road like that, a mountain lion, a bobcat, anything could come out at you. Bear. Stay on the road. Now, would I take a ride from a government worker? Of course. They've all been background checked. Would I take a ride from somebody who wasn't a government worker? Maybe. Depends how you felt. Depends where I had my gun. But Emma obviously left the car and started to walk. They didn't know which direction. But her family, when they hadn't heard from her for a long time, because she was supposed to go to the monastery and then check with her family before she headed home. So now it had been several days. So the family puts out flyers. Sheriff's office puts out flyers. New Mexico State Police put out flyers. And a local resident near Glorieta Baldy Mountain sees one of the flyers and says, hey, I remember seeing that car up this road called 63A, a forestry road. So he calls the New Mexico State Police and they come out. Trooper gets there. They quickly find the car. They look around for fresh tracks, but it had been days. And they call for search and rescue. Smart. New Mexico State Police, if people don't know it, they're right next to Alaska State Troopers as far as competency on searches. They're very, very, very good. First of all, the National Guard brought in 2 helicopters. Search and rescue team brought in equestrians, people on horseback. There were a ton of ground pounders. They brought in 3 different cadaver dogs, 3 different canine dogs that just smell for scent, and they had 200 searchers in total. That's a lot. Later on, the New Mexico State Police made a statement that they didn't believe that there was any foul play involved. They couldn't find anything pointing to that at all. But they also posted a $20,000 reward. I thought that was kind of weird. I don't know if that was a direct message so that hunters would pay attention when they're out in the woods. They'd look for her, or to get people into the woods. It was a little unclear. But the profile of Emma was that she was a world traveler and very wise to the ways of the world. What do I mean by that? There's a lot of people that go on vacation and just think that because they have that mentality that everything's going to be okay and everyone's going to be friendly. Not everyone's friendly and not everyone's okay. And in fact, if you're a single woman and you're getting off a flight in another country, there's people that look just for people like you to victimize. Yes. And Liam Neeson made a couple of movies about exactly this, about his daughter being abducted overseas. So I'm always thinking about that. Well, Emma just had to follow the road to safety. That's all. But obviously something happened. Because she wasn't on the road. Several years ago, the investigator who had Emma's case for the New Mexico State Police made a statement. Never forget it. He stated that it's like she vanished off the face of the earth. Emma Tresp was in good health, smart, 71 years old. Now let's talk about these two cases. Here's the map. I have spent a ton of time in this area. A ton. In fact, Missing 411 The Hunted was filmed, a lot of it, right in this area. 40 miles separate these two ladies. That's not a lot, folks. That's really not. When you start talking about missing people, 40 miles is not a lot. But let's think about this. Two women, 40 miles apart. Okay. 25 years apart. That fits our profile to a T. And why does that? Well, because if I put these cases right next to each other, happening one after the other, in the same area, there's cops out there, they're going to put this together and say, oh yeah, that's kind of weird. We should look into this. If I separate it by 25 years, people are going to retire. No one's going to remember. It's the end of it. But Emma and Ingrid, both having cars that were damaged on a forestry road that was dirt, way out in the middle of nowhere. They both disappear from that car. There's no scent trail. There's no tracks. Both of them were going to religious retreats. Think about how odd that is. Really. Both were alone. Both never make it to their destinations. Meaning, Ingrid was going to a mountaintop somewhere. Best we can tell, she never made it. Guaranteed. Emma never made it. 40 miles apart from each other. Neither was ever found. No tracks, no scent trail, no nothing. How's that possible? Really, how is that possible? I've just laid you out all the parallels in these cases. I guarantee nobody else is talking about it. Well, they will be now that I said it, but nobody else could put that together. And the Sandoval County deputies, I don't blame them at all. I mean, they're doing all they can to just stay alive day to day, and they're working like dogs, so I respect that. But thank you for being here. Again, Ingrid Lane, 37 years old, a practicing Buddhist, missing October 15th of this year, 2023. Emma Tresp, 71, missing August 31st, 1998, Glorieta Baldy Peak Road, New Mexico, both cases. Please share. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And it always helps to watch these to the end. Please watch my videos to the end. Please, please. Thanks. And put them on when you're working around the house. It also helps. Well, I have almost 600 cases now on this channel. Put on an old case, listen to it. It's just the same value as the new cases. In the meantime, be nice to your family. Help somebody that when they're in distress. Adopt a rescue dog, rescue cat. You need to save these things. In the meantime, have a great week. Paulides out.